Good morning everybody and welcome to this lesson on the PhD course of Energy and Sustainable Development. So, in this lesson I want to talk about the situation of our planet, about the environmental pollution, about the global and local scale pollution that affects our planet. The title of this presentation is Our Planet and Its Disease. We have a healing planet. The health of our planet today. What is the health of our planet? I put an image that want to show how the planet is not in good health. Pollution. We have two kinds of pollution. In a global scale, affecting all the planet, or on a local scale. For example, the pollution of air, ground, water. The local matrix of our planet, of our cities, of our countries. For example, local pollution affecting the specific areas caused by human activities. For example, factory activities or other industrialization activity carried out by human people. So we can imagine our planet as if it's going to the doctor, and the planet is asking for help to the doctor. The doctor answers to the planet, asking, what are your symptoms? Tell me about your health. What are the things that are affecting your health? And I can imagine a solution for your problems. So the planet, what are the symptoms of the planet? This is a picture of the year 2015-2016. We are in Mexico. Mexico was affected during this period by El Nino. El Nino was a tropical weather tempest in which all the Central America was without rain for 2 years. This is an artificial lake, a lake created by a dam. And in the 50 years, in the years 50s, when the dam was built, there was a river, and the construction of the dam make the rising of a lake, who was covering this ancient church. It is on 16th century church, was completely covered by water while the lake was growing, was rising, due to the dam construction. After 2 years without rain in Mexico, the lake level was going down of about 20 meters. So the residues of this church was emerging from the water of the lake. And it was amazing because the generations doesn't remember about the presence of this church in this area. For example, I have put here some pictures of the lake rising down and emerging of the church, and the local newspaper was celebrating the event in which they explain there is a climate change, there is a problem of water in this area. We can see some scientific data about El Nino tempest. El Nino was affecting this part of the planet, and we can see different images of the temperature and the lack of rain. For example, the Lake Gauge was detecting a lack of water of different, a lot of centimeters per month in all the central area of America. We have another picture showing that our planet is ill. Okay, there is a disease in our planet. This is the Po source, the place where the Fiume Po, the river Po, the most important river in Italy, is running. We see that all is dry. There is no water, there is no rain. Where is the most important rain? There is not the most important river of Italy. Is completely dry. We are in the summer 2017. And there are some new papers dealing about that this situation of completely dry river in Italy happened in 1753, 2003 and 2015. We can look that the frequency of these events is is happening with more time in the last years. Then we look in the other part of our planet. We are in the summer 2017. There was the Irma hurricane. You remember the hurricane Irma? It was a terrible hurricane. It was in a scale from 1 to 5. It was category 5 hurricane in Florida, in the southeast of the United States. So, in Italy, where we have no water, and in the other part of the planet, in the same period, we have a lot of water. So we can understand that there's something wrong in the climate of our planet. For example, today we are in May 2019, the temperature is not like in May. There is something wrong. This is the frequency of hurricane in our planet. If you look in the last years, according to different studies, the yellow and the green one are two different approaches to analyze the weather condition. Anyway, according with one or the other one statistic analysis, we can see an increasing of the number of hurricanes and their dangers. The increasing of hurricane is also symptoms, the famous symptoms we were saying about the hill of our planet. There are also here some pictures about the relation between the global mean temperature, the first one, and the tropical low hurricane and different types of hurricane. And we can see in the second and the third picture that there is an increasing of the number, the frequency, and the aggressiveness of these hurricanes. Autumn 2018, we are in Italy, in the Trentino area, in the north of Italy. There are some pines, trees. There was an hurricane who destroyed a big part of the forest. We have to make a little thinking about the type of trees that was growing in this area. This area was without hurricane. It was a cold area because the trees are very thin, not big trees, because the climate in that area doesn't need to grow the trees. Okay, so the tree was completely destroyed by this hurricane, and we can see also this the paper. 2 million of trees destroyed by the wind. 2019, some months ago, we have two pictures of the same period in two parts of our planet at the same latitude level. We are in Boston and we are in Sicily, in Italy. In the same time, in winter, we have very low temperature in the United States, a very high temperature in Italy. For example, we can look at the period is the same. In Sicily, we have 22 degrees, very strange for February. And in Boston, we have a temperature such as some degrees below zero, 15 degrees below zero. There is a gap between the two places in the same latitude, in the same part of the planet, a very big difference of temperature. It's very strange. There's something wrong in our planet. This is another picture of the coral. This is climate change. The loss of color of the ocean reef. Okay, we can understand the corals are dying. They are bleaching. They are losing their color, natural red color, due to the high increasing of temperature. the expertise was estimating that it was an increasing of 4 degrees of the local water ocean temperature. And 4 degrees for little animals like corals is a very high temperature level, and they die because they cannot move for their alive. And so there is bleaching of the coral reefs in this part of the planet. You can see the comparison between the normal color and the color after the increase of temperature. And there is also a scientific relationship you can see between the sea surface temperature anomaly that is increasing since 1940, 1960, in the last decades, is increasing the temperature, and the loss of the cover of coral. In the same years, there is a loss of the surface covered by corals. So there is a relationship between the number of living corals and the temperature during the time. This is the graphic was telling about the number of animals and vegetables that can die according to the increase, the temperature rise. As the temperature is rising compared to pre-industrial level, the number of animals and species of animals and plants will die. So there is an important number of typical animals and plants growing all around the world that can be destroyed in the next years if we cannot solve the problem of climate change. These are typical of Italy. Another problem is the ice melting. We can see a graphic in which with different colors are reported the 1980 years, 1990, 2000 years, and we looked at the extent of the Arctic ice surface is decreasing. There is a natural decreasing during the months, okay? The lower level is between July and September. But every decade, every 10 years, the extent of surface is lower and lower. So there is an ice melting in the Arctic surface that is disappearing. It is a very, very important problem. We can see some graph, for example, this is a timeline moving pictures in which we can see the level reducing the time by time. It's important because it is water, not salt water, that is flowing to the sea. It's very important for the habitat, for the local animals living in that part of the planet. But the problem is not in the Arctic. We can see other level of extent of the surface decreasing by the time. The problem was not only in the ice over the sea, for example, the Arctic ice, but also in the terrestrial ice. The terrestrial ice are melting. This is a comparison between two pictures in which we can see the ice from the mountains that is melting. The level of ice is reducing. This is more dangerous because if the water of the Arctic is melting, the level of the water of the ocean doesn't change because the reducing of ice in the Arctic pole is compensated by the melting. This is a problem for the level rising of the seas. There are two articles, one in French, one in Italian, to understand that the problem is not localized, it's a global problem. The Alps, the mountains between Italy and France, there are ice that are melting. And for example, also the borderline between Italy and France is moving because it was set over the ice. The ice is melting and the borderline between the two countries is moving towards down. This is also some pictures in which we can compare different situations, in which we can understand the ice melting by the time. This is New Zealand, in New Zealand Alps. To understand that the problem is not in the north part of the planet, also in the opposite part of the planet we have ice melting. The total volume of ice is reducing by the time. There is a very big number of cubic meters. This is a graph in which they can indicate the number of snow coming down to the floor. The red one, if you look at the picture, the red one is reducing, the frequency of red one rectangles are reducing by the time, because there is a loss of snow in the ground, because the high temperature of the ground. The snow is falling down, but cannot remain to the ground, is melting due to the high temperature of the land. It is a nice sculpture, little sculpture, in which they explain a politic men who are talking, and the level of the seas are rising. It want to explain that politic men doesn't have, they don't have the real consciousness of the total risk that our planet is now having. This is another picture. I don't believe in global warming, and the world level is rising. Is sea level rising? Yes. It is about 2.5 inches per year. We have also a picture in which we can see the 3.41 millimeter per year, the sea level rising due to the melting. When glass melts in a glass of water, does the water level change? If we want to melt ice inside the glass of water, we can see that the level is not increasing. So we understand that the Arctic ice melting doesn't make contribution to the sea level rising, because the low volume of the ice is occupied by the liquid. It's not the same, but the difference is very small. So the problem is not the Arctic. There are also problems for animals living there in that situation. But the problem is caused by the terrestrial ice that are melting. So we go on, and the planet temperature, we can see that with the red mark, the temperature is increasing. It's increasing globally. We can see different studies, NASA, Berkeley University, the NOAA, the research center, different research centers that are according to each other that the temperature is growing by the years. This is Europe temperature, sia in a global measurement that a Europe local measurement. So, what is the diagnosis of our planet? It's a global warming. Our planet is coming to the doctor. The ice is melting. There is an increasing sea level rising. There are extreme weather events like hurricanes. There are extreme risks for animals and plants. And what is the connection, cause and effect? The main cause, the responsible is the global warming. But what is the first one cause that creates the global warming? The greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a positive effect caused by carbon dioxide, who allows the life to grow in our planet. For example, the planet Mercury, without atmosphere, without carbon dioxide, the temperature can vary from more than 100 degrees under zero to 400 degrees below and over zero. So the carbon dioxide in our planet allows the life. But from the industrialization age, there is also the reduction of the trees. From the industrialization age, we can detect, for example, by sampling the ice, that the content of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of our planet was increasing. Due to the industrialization factor, industrialization progress, for example in transportation, for example in industry, factories, human activities. So the carbon dioxide increasing, the fault is in carbon dioxide. This is a graph in which we can see in blue the concentration of carbon dioxide. It is growing until 400 parts per million, and together with the increasing of the carbon dioxide content, there is also the temperature increasing of our planet. What is the prognosis? How can we say to our planet? The response from this disease is coming from Paris. In 2015, there was signed by the most important countries the Paris Agreement, in which the COP21, the Conference of Party 21, in which people say that the temperature, global temperature rise must be limited within 2 degrees Celsius above the previous level. But we have to take care don't overcome 1.5 degrees. Okay? Don't matter what do you want to do for our planet. The objective, the goal is to take the temperature not more 2 degrees if compared with the pre-industrial level. Therapy. What is the therapy for our planet? We know there was the Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol was without success because there was not the agreement of total the countries according to share this agreement. In Europe we had an important goal, it was reached some months ago. It was the climate energy package. It is called 2020 to 2020. It's the directive number 28 of 2009. The goals of the European package was reducing the 20% of the carbon dioxide emissions, reduction of 20% of the energy consumption, and increasing the rise of 20% of renewable energy. The goals are related to each other because if I want to increase the share of renewable energy, then I reduce the production of carbon dioxide because I reduce the use of fossil fuel. And they are very connected to each other. There are also key targets for 2030, but they are not working now because we have to arrive at 2020 and then we can decide. What is the goal? There are also an approach, different approach. The Agenda 2030 is speaking about different activities we can carry out to reach some objectives in different sectors. For example, sustainable city, industry, life on land, peace, climate action, etc. What is the answer to the package established by the European Community? Energy efficiency in living, for example, sustainable transports and renewable energy sources. This is the most important action that we can carry out to gain the goals. This is the graph in which we can see the European Union share. The goal is 20% of renewable energy. This 20% goal is shared with all the European countries of our continent. Okay? Every country has different goals according to its power, according to its economy resources, according to the environmental and natural possibility, natural climate of each country. For example, in Sweden has a high target, 49% of energy produced by renewable energy source. Each country has its goal, but the average goal of the European Union is 20% of renewable energy. You can see the red points if the goal was not reached. The green one if the goal was reached. For example, in Italy, our goal was 17% of produced energy to be produced by renewable energy. In 2016, we have reached Italy our goal. Okay? There is another graph in which they explain in 2016 the share of renewable energy for each country. Okay? For example, Sweden as the objective was 49%, but they overcome the European objective, arriving to 54% of renewable energy. More than half of the produced energy in Sweden is from renewable energy source. There are also some countries that, for example, Germany, this is the goal, this is the position. For example, other France, for example, in which the investment, in Italy, we have reached the goal, in which the investment of renewable energy source was not so much to overcome the fossil fuel energy resource. For example, in Germany they have coal. Coal is a fossil fuel with low cost extraction of coal against the high cost of renewable energy source. What are the renewable energy sources? We have a list: solar, for example, thermal for hot water, domestic hot water production, PV, photovoltaic production, for example, for electricity. We have the thermodynamic concentration, for example, to produce steam by the concentration of solar rays and produce mechanical energy, which is converted by the generator to electricity. Wind energy production, hydro energy production. We have different hydro projects with the dam, in which we have high level, difference of level, and reduced flow water. In the river, for example, we have high flow water, but reduced high. Or other technologies. There are also biomass, solid. For example, we have the wood chips and the pellet, liquid from the oil milling, and biogas from the technical menu. Geothermal for heat, for example, at surface of ice, or for producing by the steam for producing the electric energy. There are renewable energy sources, but it's not so clear the belonging of this energy source to the renewable energy was waste to energy production. So we pass to the second lesson, in which we speak about some solution for the energy use to feed our cities. We have developed as Biomass Research Center some project dealing with the renewable energy source in order to make perspective about bioenergy as renewable energy source. What is biomass? Biomass is the result of the chlorophyll and photosynthesis. During this growth, the plants, the trees, for example, they use the carbon dioxide to synthesize the carbon and to make oxygen free. During the combustion, we make the contrary process. The carbon content of the plant, of the tree, was burned to produce carbon dioxide. So the idea is, if we can produce energy using biomass, we don't make more carbon dioxide. We respect the balance of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere against the greenhouse effect. The important problem now, this is my personal opinion, is not the production of energy at the moment. I speak about Europe, for example. We have not the problem of the production of energy. We have enough energy production. The problem is the greenhouse effect. How we can produce energy? Know the total amount of energy. For example, since 2008, with the industrial crisis, we have a reduction of the factories, of the working with high energy consumption. Okay? We have a great reduction. We have also responsible use energy. For example, in Italy we have different hours in which we pay different consumption of energy. For example, during the night, the price of the energy, of electricity, is lower than the day. And people is responsible about the use. For example, domestic use such as washing machine. If I can work with washing machine during the night, I can save money because the electricity consumption during the night has a reduced price if compared with the daily energy consumption. So, the reduction of factories, industry and other activities was wasting energy. The increasing of responsibility of people in using energy and other different situations make the energy with the high availability of energy. The problem is not the availability of energy, the problem is the production of carbon dioxide. All the climate change we have seen in the first part of my lesson are the results of a high increasing of the carbon dioxide level in our atmosphere. This is a summary of bioenergy compared with other renewable energy sources. If you look at the total renewable energy sources, we can see that in Europe, bioenergy can produce the half, for example, of the total energy requirements. It's possible to produce half of the energy needs using bioenergy. Bioenergy is an opportunity for our daily life. There are different estimations, 2020, 2025, 2030, with the baseline and advanced scenarios. In both the different scenarios, the production of energy by biofuel is half of the total requirements. In Italy law, we have a definition of biomass. What is biomass? Biomass is the biodegradable part of the products, waste, and byproducts. We have three categories of products. The main product is biomass. I want to crack the wood to produce wood chip, produce pellet. This is byproducts. For example, if I harvest the grain, I have the seed and I have the straw. The straw is a byproduct because the main product is the grain to make, for example, wheat, I don't know. And the straw is a byproduct connected to the main product that I produce, so I can make a management of this byproduct. The main product, byproduct, waste. What is the difference? Waste is something that I don't need. I want to dispose these products. For example, the manure from animals is a waste if I want to put away from my land. If I use the manure from animals in my fields as fertilizer, it's a byproduct because I have the cow. The main product is the milk from the cows. The byproduct is the slurry, the technical slurry from the cows. It's a byproduct if I can use in my fields. If I have a lot of big quantity of this slurry and I want to dispose this, it's a waste. If I move from my country, from my land, in another land, in a landfill, for example, in another field that is not my own property, is a waste. There are three different status of the same products depending on the final destination of the product by product waste. From biologic creation, coming from agriculture, vegetable and animals, the forestry, industry, agri-technical industry factories like fishing, the fish cultivation, prunings from public and private green areas, and the biodegradable, the organic part of municipal solid waste, the production of domestic, for example, waste, the wet waste, organic, is a biomass. Solid biomass. For example, we have the pellet and the wood chip. We can feed the boiler, okay? It is the same configuration of a coal or methane energy generation plant. It's the same, because also the coal is uploaded to the boiler, also the methane, but we have biomass. The heating value is lower than carbon, so we need more quantities of biomass to make the same production, okay? But we can make a sustainable management of the green with forest. We use the short rotation forestry, rotation of wood in different parts, rotation of forestries to feed the thermal plant. The steam produced can move the turbine. The turbine is connected to a generator to produce energy for the net. This is a solid biomass. The liquid biomass, maybe you know better, chemical engineers. There is a transformation of biomass, milling, saccharification, fermentation, distillation of alcohol to produce the bioethanol. Bioethanol is the important fuel because it's a biofuel. The carbon dioxide produced by the combustion of bioethanol, for example, for the daily transport of cars or trucks, can be renewable. Biodiesel is the production of the milling of the seeds. There are some different types of seeds with a different content of oil. For example, Biomass Research Center is making experimentation about the carbon culture. Carbon culture is a low energy culture because the carbon is a spontaneous agriculture in which the plants don't need the water from the human irrigation, but they use only the water from the rain. They don't need the fertilizer. It's a spontaneous culture with high yield of seeds. The concept of oil per seed is 1/3. From 1 kilo of seed, we have 1/3 part of oil, 2/3 part are the panel, the residues that can be used for the animal feeding. Gaseous biomass, there is the biogas. The biogas is the result of the anaerobic digestion of biomass. There are 3 different types of biomass. Zootechnical manure, for example, organic fraction of municipal solid waste produced by the city, for example, and some agriculture residues. There are the chipping of the biomass, mixing and chipping, and putting inside a digester. The digester is around for mesophilic process. There is a temperature around 38-40 degrees, in which the methanogen bacteria can grow. The bacteria are consuming the biomass inside the digester with the production of methane. Biogas. The biogas is about 50-60% methane. The other part is carbon dioxide. The methane can be burned in a CHP, combined heat and power engine, a gas engine burning the methane inside the biogas and producing mechanic energy, and by a generator electric energy. So I can feed a village, neighborhood of a city, part of the city, by the residues produced by the city itself. I can harvest the organic fraction of municipal solid waste. I can harvest the pruning, for example, all the green part of the harvest of agriculture, or pruning from the green gardens in the city, for example, to produce electricity and heat, because I can recover the heat from the engine, from the oil, from the cooler system, to feed the anaerobic digester, because it has to maintain the temperature of anaerobic condition, that is around 40 degrees, but also to feed with a district heating the neighborhood close to the plant. Gaseous biomass, there is also biogas from landfill. The landfill can produce biogas because in the waste there are organic parts. What are the critical issues of renewable energy source? I made a list of the critical issues. The first one is the land occupation and consumption. This critical issue is working with a low energy density per ground unit. For example, if we have a solar plant, like photovoltaic plant, for 1 power of kilowatt, 1 kilowatt power plant, we need 7 square meters. So, for 1 megawatt power plant, electricity production, we need 7,000 square meters. That is a very, very high, very huge soil ground occupants with reduced energy density. The energy density of this plant is very low compared with the coal production, coal plant energy production. Okay? Biogas, also biogas. For example, if I want the same power, electric power like in the photovoltaic, 1 megawatt of power, electric power, we need a feeding of corn silage of 60 tons per day with a yield of biomass of 70 tons per hectare. So we need 1 hectare per day. So for 1 megawatt to work every day, we need 360 hectares. It's very big surface used for to produce energy. It's also an ethical problem. The The third critical issue of renewable energy source, landscape compatibility. For example, in Umbria, our region, we have only 2 wind plants, only 2 towers, because Umbria has a high landscape value. And if there is a landscape value, it's very difficult to build renewable energy source, because there is no social acceptance of renewable energy source. For example, we look at some popular movement against renewable energy source. The third critical issue of renewable energy source, non-programmability and discontinuous production, wind and solar. What is meaning? In 1 year we have 24 hours per day. For 365 days, the total hours per year is 8,760 hours per year. In these 8,700 hours, how many hours the solar plant can produce energy? For example, in Italy we have average, depending on the latitude, between 800 hours per year in the north, 1,500 in the south of Italy. It's very reductive production of solar energy, because the day and the night are alternating without the production of energy. This is continued production, also wind. Wind energy is depending on solar irradiation. The hot air producing the wind is produced by the sun. If the sun in the night is not available, there is no wind production and no wind energy production. It creates shocks in the grid, difficulties of storage. We have different ideas about the storage with lithium battery, ion lithium battery. There are also new technologies. I want to show you other technologies for energy storage. And the most important problem is the non-meeting. It's difficult to meet the energy needs, requirements with energy production. I give you an example. The red line is the photovoltaic production, PV production. It is like a Gaussian shape line. The maximum production is around 12-13 hours in the day, okay? And the M-shaped blue line is representing the domestic absorption of energy. There is no meeting between the energy requirements and the energy production. If we can store this part exceeding the requirements, we can use this part to fill the fields in which there is no meeting between the demand and the response of energy. If then we go to make a zoom to the production, there are some clouds, for example, in which the production of the sun is reducing. There is no continuous production. I want to show you the first project. It's called SHARE. SHARE is an acronym. It is meaning renewable energy, climatization development. We have studied a part of the most industrial factory neighborhood of Perugia. It is the area of Sant'Andrea delle Fratte. Andrea delle Fratte is neighborhood industrial and factory activities very close to our city of Perugia. We make a survey thanks to the partnership with the Ministry of Environment, the local management of the companies, our research center on biomass, and the municipality of Perugia. We make a survey in which we can see there is a lot of companies using. This is the example of the sheet we have filled for each company using not renewable energy. Non-renewable energy are developed more than renewable energy. So we can make the share of production or consumption, the presence of climatization for some time. The PV interest, there was a lot of agreement about this. So we have surveyed the area and we have found two buildings. The first building is hosting one activity and the other building is hosting two activities. There are two factory activities. The first one, prototype, was composed by PV in the roof to feed a heat pump. This is a geothermal heat pump with two boreholes, each one 120 meters depth. There is also water storage. Water storage, you can see here the installation of PV plants and the water storage to solve the problem of the non-continuous production of energy from the sun. You can warm water and keep water inside this tank during the night. You can use this water, hot water, producing during the day. So we can solve the problem of non-continuous production of solar plant using a water tank storage. This is some pictures about the heat pump on the left and the drilling machine for the boreholes. Two boreholes, each one 120 meters, is for 19 kilowatt for thermal power in winter. This is the scheme of the plant. In the other building, we have developed the second prototype. It is composed by PV plant in the roof, and there is a biomass boiler. The biomass boiler is feeding the heating in all the building. The building is for exposition of cars, so it is very high energy consumption. So this is the prototype. We can see also the building and the scheme of the plant. This is the some pictures about the boiler, biomass boiler. It is 100 kilowatt power, thermal power, because in Italy we have the regulation of to keep the boilers under 110 kilowatts, because before this threshold we have to change the authorization process. So in Italy we stay below to avoid the authorization by the fireman. And there is also an absorption chiller. The absorption chiller working at over 100 degrees water temperature can feed all the cool for the building.